Hey, what's up guys? So this is going to be my second video in a series of two. In the first video, which I'll link down below, I talked about the build quality and reliability of a Leiftech V2. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to ride a Leiftech and what it's like to ride it. So a Leiftech is truly like riding a snowboard. I know that a lot of times we compare riding an electric skateboard or a one-wheel to what it's like to ride a snowboard in the summer, but a Leiftech is truly like riding a snowboard. So throughout this video, I'm going to use some snowboard terminology and compare some of the techniques you use to ride a Leiftech to the techniques you use when you're learning to ride a snowboard. So I want to preface this whole video with wear a helmet. A Leiftech is difficult to ride, and just like with a snowboard, you can catch an edge on a Leiftech. If you're not familiar with catching an edge, it's when you're turning and the front wheels of your turn catch the pavement and then the board stops and your momentum carries you forward over the board. And when that happens, you definitely want to be wearing gear. I recommend gloves, elbow pads, and definitely a helmet. So because a Leiftech has two casters that are powered, before you start riding, you have to have the casters in alignment with each other. So to make that happen, you need to step on the board and give yourself a manual push start or a kick start with your foot and then get rolling. And what that does is it aligns the casters, and then you can start to apply throttle from the remote to get yourself going. Once you're actually riding, you'll realize pretty quickly that even though the Leiftech has 6 wheels, only 4 of them can be touching the ground at one time. You always want to have 4 wheels on the pavement at once, which means you should always be leaning to your toe side edge or your heel side edge, rocking back and forth. What this means in practice is that as you start to ride, you're going to be doing some slow, shallow S-turns back and forth. You want to get a sense for how the board rocks from side to side, and you want to avoid centering your weight on the board. If you've ever seen somebody on a snowboard learning, when they first get on the bunny hill and first stand up, they keep their weight centered from heel to toe, and then the board is flat on the snow. And what happens is the snowboarder starts to rotate in one direction or the other perpendicular to the hill, and they catch an edge and they fall. It's the same with a Leiftech. If you keep your weight centered from your heel to your toe and you only ride on the caster drive wheels, then your board will start to rotate either to the left or to the right and will spin on you. And when it starts to spin, you could catch an edge and fall off. So once you've gotten the hang of some nice easy S-turns, you can start to speed up a little bit. So just like in snowboarding, when you start to go faster, you can start to feel that the board is sliding. And what I find myself naturally doing is kicking my back leg into the direction that I want to slide, to almost initiate the slide. And that's something similar to a snowboarding technique where you initiate the slide that you want to head into. And I would recommend some nice, easy, gradual slides. And I would also recommend practicing this on a smooth paved surface so that you don't accidentally catch one of your wheels on a crack in the pavement. So now that you're starting to get the hang of slight turning, I would recommend that you practice sliding all the way to a stop. So what you'll want to do is initiate a slide. I recommend a heel side slide, which will get your body pointed forwards. Once you initiate the slide, you'll rotate 90 degrees and slide to a stop. Once you get the hang of sliding to a stop in one direction, then try reversing it and sliding to a stop in the other direction. This is still something that I'm actively working on. So now that you've gotten a good feel for how the board slides to a stop and you're comfortable rocking back and forth on the board, then you can start to get more comfortable with more pronounced slides and turns and linking your turns and slides together. So once I got to a point where I was comfortable linking my turns back and forth and sliding to a stop and getting more comfortable kicking my back leg out and initiating slides, this was the point where my snowboarding muscle memory kicked in. My progression in learning the Leiftech was significantly helped by knowing how to ride a snowboard. And for me, this is where riding a Leiftech got very fun because it really does feel just like snowboarding. And as a snowboarder who doesn't get to ride in the summer, this truly could be a replacement. Now, I do need to put in some caveats to what it's like to ride. The first thing is that when initiating a slide, if you apply a brake from the remote, it's much more likely that you're going to lose your balance and catch an edge. Now, this is something that can help you to stop faster, but it's definitely something to practice gradually, as it's much easier to lose your balance and catch an edge, so to speak, on your wheels when you're sliding and applying the brakes at the same time. Something else to be aware of is that it's much harder to make an emergency stop when you're on a Leiftech. With a snowboard, you can dig a sharp edge into the snow or the icy fake snow at the slopes and really power into a stop. But on a Leiftech, you can only dig the wheels in so far and they're just going to keep sliding. So your stopping distance is limited to the friction between your wheels and the surface that you're on. It's not related to how hard you're pushing your body weight into the stop. So if you want to slide to a stop on a smooth, wet surface, your stopping distance is going to be much greater than if that surface were rough and dry. One question that I've heard a lot is, how does the Leiftech handle inclines? So I found a parking garage with a pretty decent incline and tried riding my board up it at different speeds. And what I found is that if you approach this specific incline with a low speed, you will not make it over. But if you approach the incline at speed, then you'll have a much better chance of making it over. So the next thing I wanted to cover in this video was how the Leiftech handles uneven surfaces. Up until now, you've seen me film on smooth surfaces, mostly in parking garages, but listen to this audio from me riding on a cobblestone surface. The Leiftech was not assembled with foam in between the deck and the electronic components. So there's a lot of rattling between plastic on plastic and plastic on wood, and it sounds like you're doing damage to the board. And as it turns out, I did do damage to my board. So shortly after filming that footage, my board stopped working. I'm not quite sure what happened. I was not riding on cobblestone or a rough surface when it stopped working, but the board disconnected from the remote and I couldn't get it to connect back. So I tried doing a hard reset by unplugging the battery and plugging it back in. And when I plugged the battery in, there was a jolt to the motor and a spark between the battery connector and the board. And I suspect that what happened is something went wrong with the speed controller, and the spark was from the battery management system on the battery cutting the circuit to prevent a fire or damage to the battery or the board. Hey, future Ryan here. So that video was recorded 2 weeks ago, and I emailed Summerboard customer support and told them about what was going on, and it's been 2 weeks and I still haven't heard back from them. And since Leiftech is a discontinued product, I can't find any spare parts online. So I'm on my own. So in the past couple weeks, since I'm not getting any customer support and I really don't want to spend the money to buy another Leiftech to gut it for spare parts, I've been trying to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on with the circuit board, why this thing won't turn on. I think I've narrowed down the issue, and I'm waiting on some parts to come in the mail so I can work on a fix. But as you can see, this fix is extremely complicated. This is not where I expected to be just after I was having such a fun time riding this thing. I will make an update video if I'm able to figure this thing out. Back to the video. So that has been my experience with the Leiftech. I'm pretty bummed that it ended in me breaking the board. I hope that Leiftech will be able to help me get it fixed and get it working again, because it's really fun to ride. That's my video. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. And thanks for watching. Peace.